This is Gino Vannelli, one of Canada's best singer-songwriters from the 1970s and 1980s. Now, if you're into songwriters that fuse pop with rock with jazz, while also being a multi-Juno award-winning male vocalist, you came to the right place. Now, this video will examine the life and music of Gino Vannelli. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to the life and music of Gino Vannelli. Gino Vannelli, born June 16, 1952, is a Canadian rock singer and songwriter who had several hits in the 1970s and 1980s. His best known singles include People Gotta Move in 1974, I Just Wanna Stop 1978, Living Inside Myself 1981, and Wild Horses, 1987. Vannelli was born to an Italian family in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. His father, Joseph Russ Vannelli, sang with the Montreal dance bands of trumpeters Bix Belair and Maynard Ferguson. His early ambition was to be a drummer. He admired Gene Krupa and Buddy Rich, and he played drums in a pop band while in high school. In 1969, at the age of 17, he signed a contract with RCA Records using the name Vannelli. He studied music theory at McGill University in Montreal, Canada. Vannelli and his brother Joe moved to Los Angeles in 1972. Desperate and broke, they waited for hours in the parking lot outside A&M Records, hoping to get a record deal. When Herb Alpert, the famous trumpet player and co-owner of A&M Records, finally emerged, Vannelli ran towards him and gave him a demo tape while being chased by security guards. Alpert signed Vannelli and released his debut album, Crazy Life, in the summer of 1973. Vannelli was one of the first Caucasians, Dennis Coffey being the very first in January 1972 to appear on the television dance program Soul Train. In 1974, he was invited to tour with Stevie Wonder. That same year, he released his second album, Powerful People, which contained his first major hit, People Gotta Move. Vannelli released an album, The Gist of the Gemini, in 1976 through A&M Records. His 1978 album, Brother to Brother, also with A&M, produced the single, I Just Wanna Stop, which reached number 4 on the Billboard magazine chart, number 1 in Canada, and received a Grammy Award nomination. His next album, Nightwalker, also produced a top 10 hit, Living Inside Myself. He received the Juno Award for Most Promising Male Vocalist in 1975. In 1976 and in 1979, he received the Juno Award for Best Male Vocalist. He and his brother Joe, his musical partner during those years, shared the Juno Award for Best Production for Brother to Brother in 1979. Despite the success of singles Black Cars and Hurts to Be in Love in 1975 from his album Black Cars, as well as Wild Horses in 1987 from the album Big Dreamers Never Sleep, Vannelli only appeared live sporadically throughout the 1980s. Departing from the jazz pop idiom, Vannelli released 2 mostly acoustic jazz discs, Yonder Tree in 1995 and Slow Love in 1997. After producing the album High Tech Haiku for Danish jazz pianist Niels Landauki, Vannelli revisited his interest in Western classical music with the song Patrol per Mio Padre, translated as Words for My Father, dedicated to his late father and composed in the style and tradition of Schubert. The recording came to the attention of Pope John Paul II, who requested a performance of the song at the Vatican. Televised in Europe, the event caught the attention of the head of BMG Records, who subsequently asked Vannelli to record a contemporary classical disc in the style of Parole per Mio Padre. Canto, released by BMG in 2003, features songs sung in English, Italian, Spanish, and French, as is considered by fans and Vannelli himself to be one of his strongest musical accomplishments. In 2008, Vannelli became a symbol of sorts for the National Basketball Association championship run by the Boston Celtics. After each blowout home victory during the 2008 season, the the video crew at the TD Bank North Garden played a clip from Dick Clark's American Bandstand that featured a bearded disco dancer clad in a tight Gino Vannelli t-shirt. The tradition became known in Boston as Gino Time, and Gino t-shirts became common at Celtics games. People Gotta Move became a small hit again in the Netherlands in 2008 after this song was used in a commercial on TV. On May 13, 2014, Vannelli Live in LA CD/DVD compilation was released by the Sono Recording Group. The presentation was recorded live on stage at the historic Sabin Theater in Los Angeles on November 8, 2013, which represented Vannelli's first performance in Los Angeles in more than 15 years. The recording also marked the first on-stage collaboration in many years between the three Vannelli brothers, including Ross Vannelli as producer, editor, and mixer. Vannelli resides in Troutdale, Oregon, where he is an active music teacher. He continues to perform throughout North America and Europe. On a personal note, it was difficult to grow up in Canada in the late 70s and not hear Gino Vannelli on the radio. Now, I love that story about Gino and his brother Joe moving to LA in 1972, desperate and broke. They wait for hours in the parking lot outside of A&M Studios, hoping to get a record deal. And Herb Alpert, co-owner of A&M Records, I just did a video on him a couple of weeks ago as a trumpet player and how successful he's been. Herb Alpert at the time is the co-owner of A&M Records, and there's Gino and his brother Joe waiting in the parking lot. Finally, Herb comes out of A&M Records, and Gino goes running after him, chased by security guards, and gets this tape of his to Herb Alpert. Just a classic kind of music way. You just hope things happen, and Herb Alpert eventually signs Vannelli, and they go on, and it kind of starts Gino's career. Just kind of, or not starts it, but takes it to another level. I love that story. You've got a hungry artist, and eventually he gets his music in the right hands to the right guy, and Herb Alpert, who had unbelievable ears, one of the most successful music people of all time, says, yeah, we're gonna sign you, and then signs him. So I love that story. Secondly, I love that album, Brother to Brother. It came out in 1978. That was the time when I really got just into music and just listening to everything. And what did I like about it? There was an emotive response from me about that album, listening it on the radio, maybe going to bed at night, having my transistor radio underneath the covers and listening to songs off that album. Unbelievable. And it was the fusing of jazz with rock, with pop, with soul. Whatever he put together there, man, that Brother to Brother album is part of my playback. On another level, in 1978, I started junior high school. And about a month into school at this new junior high school, we had something called a sock hop. A sock hop at the time was you would go to class all day, and then after school, you would walk out of your classroom, put your books in your locker, and you would go to the gymnasium and take your shoes off. And in your socks, you would go into the gymnasium. They had a disco ball, they turned the lights down, and they had a DJ, and you had to dance. Well, I had never danced with a girl before grade 7 or in junior high. And the huge song on the radio at that time was Gino Vannelli, I Just Wanna Stop. And that was his only number one hit, I think, in his career. But anyways, about 4 or 5 songs into the sock hop, a slow song comes on, and this would be late September, early October, just getting accustomed to this junior high school. And we were in grade 7, and as soon as the slow songs came on, all the guys lined up on one side of the gymnasium, and all the girls lined up on the other side of the gymnasium. And this song came on, I Just Wanna Stop, Gino Vannelli. And I'd heard it on the radio, it was new, it was probably out for a month or so, and it was all over the Canadian airwaves. The song starts, and you see the guys from my side of the gymnasium kind of walk across, and they go over and they ask girls to dance, and then they go out onto the dance floor and they start dancing. Well, I was shy, never danced with a girl before, didn't know how to dance. It seemed like everybody was paired up. The song had started, maybe it was 30 seconds into this I Just Want to Stop. Gino Vannelli loved the song, and it looked like everybody was paired up. And a bunch of us guys in grade 7, a bunch of my buddies were kind of standing near the door of the gymnasium that you'd have to go out if you were going to the washroom or wanted to get a drink or something. And we saw this hot-looking grade 8 girl. Looked like she was going to be walking out the door of the gymnasium, but for some reason came up to me and asked me to dance. Didn't know who she was. She was gorgeous. She was not in my grade. She was older than me. And I didn't want to go out and dance. I was too shy, but all my friends pushed me out. Sure enough, this girl took me out into the middle of the gymnasium, right underneath the disco ball, and told me how to hold her, and told me and showed me how to dance. And that was the first slow song I ever danced to, I Just Want to Stop by Gino Vannelli. And I remember in that song there's a solo by Ernie Watts. Ernie Watts was the sax player for The Tonight Show, and I've done a biography on Doc Severinsen and seen Doc Severinsen, been to The Tonight Show back in the day. And I just did not want that sax solo by Ernie Watt to end in that song, I Just Want to Stop. I just wanted it to go on forever. So it was one of the coolest experiences of my life, that first dance. I still remember her name. Just want to say thanks for that first dance if you're listening. And I also want to say Gino Vannelli, love that song, I Just Want to Stop. Love that album, Brother to Brother, that fusing of jazz, rock, funk, soul. Gino, that song, I Just Want to Stop, is an important song in the playlist of my life. I hope you enjoyed this video on one of my favorite Canadian singer-songwriters, Gino Vannelli. Now, if you've got a band or artist you'd like featured on this channel, pop it in the comment section. I'll make another video. Thanks for dropping by. Rock on.